So now we're going to go over sweeps. And I've been hitting that violin sweep a lot, and I've been having a lot of success with it. And I've been lazy and hitting it from half guard. But now since I've been hitting the violin sweep for like the last month, people are blocking it. I get to half guard and I'm having a hard time. So I'm having to get to close guard in order to hit that sweep. So we'll learn it from close guard today. Who's familiar with that? So it's just about trapping the shoulder, locking the shoulder, making a couple of hip switches, and you can transition to an arm bar. But what we're gonna use that sweep, and then we're gonna get to an L sweep, a pendulum. We're gonna get to scissor sweep. So for like the next couple of weeks, we're just gonna sweep, okay? Because we remember that there's 5 basic positions in jiu-jitsu, right? It's standing, guard, side mount, mount, and back, and it's all in that progression. So we should be able to pass and submit, or sweep, pass, and submit. Like that's the goal, right? Trying not to have to use close guard unless you have to. Like when you need to use your guard is when someone can out wrestle you. When someone can pin you on the ground, then you need to have a good guard. But if you can sweep somebody, you should always sweep them and submit them from the top. That should always be the goal. Okay? So we'll get straight into it. Gabe, where are you at? I'm gonna use you today. So let's just start close guard. Come here. So one of the things I need to do is I need to get like head and arm control from the bottom, right? So the easiest way to do that would be to pull my knees and pop his hands up this way instead of under, because I'm not trying to come under and then come over. So I'm gonna pop his arms and just reach up and come here and grab. Go ahead and come down with me. I'm gonna grab him here. Now we're looking for opposing forces, right? So I'm gonna squeeze in nice and tight. That's gonna cause him to kind of like try to push up a little. And then I'm gonna loop the head and trap the shoulder. Is your shoulder okay? Okay, so now this is where the opposing forces comes in. So I'm gonna use the blade of my wrist and I'm gonna pinch down on his shoulder. I'm pulling down, and then my elbow is gonna lift his head away. Can you guys see that? So it's opposing forces, down and up, right? And then so now what I gotta do is I'm gonna start to switch, and I gotta get this arm up on my shoulder, and I'm gonna keep my guard here. The first threat, we're gonna do it in reverse. I'm gonna do the secondary move first, and then I'll show you guys the attack on the arm. But the first threat is an arm bar, and then that's usually gonna cause him to like try to drive back into me. And when he does, I'm gonna switch my hips here, and I'm gonna try to find this hook sweep, and just drive. Go with me, dude. Drive and come over to the top and mount him. Okay. So the attack on the arm is going to cause him to like try to drive back into me, which is going to give me the simple sweep. You can do it at a scissor sweep variation or a hook. Typically, if you get your hips out enough, you'll be able to find that butterfly hook, and that's the one that you should use, okay? So hands are on. I'm going to pop them and come up and grab, right? So now I got head and arm control. Your grips, I don't know, I always just grab here, but then I like to switch to this grip. So as he starts to drive himself back up, relax, less tension. Here, trap. Opposing forces, I'm gonna switch my hips. I'm bluffing like I'm gonna attack this arm. As he comes in, I'm gonna switch my hips, get my butterfly hook in, hit this sweep, and then hook the head and drive them out. Up on the joint of the shoulder, like the AC joint. The blade of our hand, the thumb, and the blade is locked into that AC joint, and I'm pulling it down and I'm lifting. Like you can have downward pressure, and that downward pressure on your gable grip allows you to lift this elbow up, and it should be massively uncomfortable. Like they should be like, oh, and then you want to pinch that wrist in between the ear and the shoulder. I keep layering, I'm gonna keep layering and keep layering the technique and the detail, because first thing I need you to do is be able to get the actual general motion down, and then we're gonna add, just keep adding and adding. So make sure that that's like the key to this thing, right? So I pop him and I sit up and break him down, right? Now I'm in tight, my head's in, and I'm we don't want to do what we're told, right? So like, if I want him to pull away from me so I can loop the head, I squeeze into him and hold him down. Now he starts to pull away, I just loop the head. Immediately I bring my elbow inside and I'm biting down with my left wrist on this shoulder, downward pressure, and I've got his arm off the mat. Like his arm is not posting out here. Like if it's posted out here, I need to pop it up. That's kind of why I'm gonna pivot out to the side here, right? Now as he starts to square, watch what I do. My knees pinch and I just switch my hips. You see that? And I have a little bit of space now. And I still got control of his arm. I'm still controlling his head. He's still really uncomfortable. And I loop this butterfly hook in. Now I'm going to catch the back of the leg here. So now we're doing opposing forces with two things, our legs and our hands. So this leg is coming in. This leg is elevating. My right leg's elevating. My left leg is chopping. My left arm is pulling. And my right arm is pushing here. And there's that easy sweep. Drive the knee to the mat. Release. Scoop the head, set up, keep driving. It's really, really important that you guys understand the opposing forces theory, right? It's constant downward pressure, constant upward pressure, and you're switching your hips. There's an arm bar here too. That's why we go to the arm bar route first, but I just want to show you the sweep first, then we'll go to that. So one more time. So here, pop, sit up. Here, squeeze, he starts to pull away. I loop the head, catch, switch. He starts driving in. My knees pinch the hips, and it creates the space for me to find my elevator, on my butterfly on the far side. Pinch, find that butterfly, drop, sweep, drive that knee, hook the head, bang, set up the mount with the under jack. Now we'll take a step back, and I'll show you like the first attack that you should be doing to kind of bait this sweep and make it easier. So you're gonna just tack that inverted straight arm bar, or the elbow squeeze, I think. I don't even know names to things, but so here we go. So it's all the same exact setup, but I wanted to show you the sweep first because it goes into the our philosophy: sweep, submit, pass, sweep, pass, submit. So I'm here, I break him down. I'm gonna go ahead and downward force. He loops the head, loops the head, and I'm pitching, and I'm dragging the head away. Maybe he's just not driving back into me. Maybe he's just okay here. He doesn't want to get swept, right? Maybe he knows. So we're gonna get into the habit of moving our hips like this without touching the ground. A lot of times if he touches the ground, he can pass. He's just gonna jump this side, whatever leg's on the ground. Boom. He can start passing, right? So we want to be able to keep our legs up to avoid the pass. So we got to be able to start switching, just using our legs and not touching the ground. Sometimes you have to touch the ground, but not always. So I've got this downward force. My knees are pinched on the hips, and this is how I'm moving. And I'm just going to come through. This knee's going to slide up, and this one's going to slide up too. And I'm going to slide back to the knob of the elbow, and then just hit that little inverted arm bar. Sometimes you won't be able to find the sweet spot and actually feel like you can get the break. You got to just keep moving your hips, okay? So we're here. Sit up. Switch my grip. I'm pulling. I loop the head. I got my downward force here. Blade on the AC joint. Arm pushing the head away. Knees pinched. I bring my knee up to the shoulder. This knee to the shoulder, and I start to pull and straighten that arm. And you've got like the little knob in the elbow right here. You should feel the blade hit that knob, and that's where you want to stop. So it comes off the shoulder to the knob, and then you just a little bit of pressure here and pull down. You can even pull your belly away if you need to. Pull your belly away, because if you stay extended, sometimes the elbow will be pressing on your chest. So if you suck it in, you can pull and get the angle to break. So up, break. Got him. Switch the grip and squeeze. He starts to pull away. Look, now we're not touching the ground. Okay? Here, push the head away with your elbow. Slide the knee up to the near shoulder. This knee goes up and pinches the chest, and you're pinching your knee together, and I'm gonna slide and find that break. So, like, the one thing, remember that in between my bracelet and my thumb joint, that's where all the work's being done, right? I'm not using my wrist down here, I'm using this blade, okay? So, sit up, I break him down, pull, I loop, see this grip? My thumb and my wrist are in that AC joint, and I'm manipulating his head with my elbow, still while I have massive downward pressure. My knees come in, boom, I'm pinching. And as I start to slide, I start to rotate, and I'm pulling this back until I find the knob of the elbow. I want to keep this, a lot of people will do this, and they start switching their grips. But I like to keep this because now Glenn's going to start turning his elbow to alleviate. And he's going to start coming in, right? And I need to be able to jump back on that sweep from this side. So as I'm going, he starts to drive back into me. He sees the sweep coming. I'm going to lock the shoulder, get my butterfly hook, and I start to hit the sweep. So I'm just bluffing, and he's going to be like trying to punch. Like, you don't want to pull your arm out of an arm bar. You're trying to punch it in. So he's trying to turn and punch it in to keep it from getting extended and broken. And when he's trying to punch it back in, we just jump back up on that shoulder and sweep. We've got the arm trapped, and he's driving towards his arm. Anytime you get arm bars, the last thing you want to do is pull away from it. You want to try to move into it, right? So that's pretty much how I hit it. And it's usually, he's usually going to react long before it starts to pressure, right? So I'm up, I break him down here, and I start to make my move. That's why I show the sweep first, because he knows now that he's in armbar trouble, right? So he's going to start, even now, before I even do anything, he's going to start turning in, and that's going to give me my sweep, right? So you got to, like, it's almost like the further down the rabbit hole, like, if you get someone with that armbar, it's because they don't know, usually, right? So you can just go all the way to armbar and finish, but once you start getting to the higher levels, you just got to be able to bluff it. So we go this way and bluff it. That's going to get him to get the reaction that I need, which is going to cause the sweep. It's going to feel clunky for sure, but once you guys get it down, it should feel smooth. So up, switch, I loop. I start to attack. He already knows. Now I'm just going to switch back. You see how this leg kind of kicks straight? Gives me the space to find this. And I'm not going here and getting my butterfly hook in. I just do like a little loop, and then my butterfly hook's in. The whole time I'm pulling down and driving up, and then I'm going to hit that little chop and drive across the back. Getting your hips active and getting an arm trapped, like, one thing that I'm having a bunch of success from here is because I've been sweeping people. They don't want me to go here, so they are like avoiding it at all costs, and they're like even like doing this kind of silly stuff, especially from half guard. So like I'll be here in bottom half guard, and I'm trying to get to this position, and so now a lot of guys are like turning through, like putting this hip on the ground and like looping my head, loop over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Here. And they're coming here, and it's like setting up tons of stuff, which I still have a sweep here because the idea is a butterfly hook and take the arm away. So I just reach up and grab, and I pinch, and then I'll just hit the sweep and then dismount here. And I've been getting a lot of side chokes off of it. Also, when you're in close guard, and I'm up and I trap here, and I start to loop out, I come to this position, maybe he starts bending his arm like back behind. That's cool. We're just gonna step out and go to omoplata, right, and cover. Also too, like maybe I'm here and he starts pushing on my knee here, right? I can switch and control and come back around and lock triangles in. There's like a lot of game that happens there. It just depends on like what your opponent's doing.